Welcome to the introductory video for the Desire to Learn Grades tool brought to you by UWM's Learning Technology Center. In this video, you'll be introduced to using the Grades tool in D2L. The D2L Grades tool is one of the most commonly used features of D2L, as many instructors that are teaching face-to-face courses still use it as a convenient place to upload their grades and give students access to them. One of the primary advantages of the D2L Grades tool is that it allows you to put grades up in a place where students have 24/7 access. Another benefit is that D2L allows you to easily import your final grades into PAWS. When you enter grades, navigation bar disappears, so when you'd like to go back to the course home, you'll want to click on the course in the mini bar. You will notice that there are three tabs in the grades area: Enter Grades, Manage Grades, and Schemes. You'll notice that when you start a new gradebook, you initially only have one section of grades, Final Grades, which appears next to the student names. Final Grades has two columns, Final Calculated Grade and Final Adjusted Grade. The Final Calculated Grade provides you with a calculation of all of the assignments you've entered into your gradebook. This grade is calculated completely from previous entries in the gradebook and doesn't allow you to adjust the final grade in any way. The Final Adjusted Grade, on the other hand, does provide you the ability to manually adjust the grades prior to releasing grades to PAWS. The Final Adjusted Grade is automatically the default grade set up to be sent to PAWS. Using Final Adjusted Grade allows instructors the ability to bump up grades for students right on the edge of the grade. For example, you could change the 79.9 to 80 if 80 is your cutoff for a B-. The ability to do so is possible in the Final Adjusted Grade, but not in the Final Calculated Grade. Now let's go into the Manage Grades tab. Manage Grades is where you can create new grade items. To create a new grade item, click on the drop-down menu next to the New button. Here you have the ability to create a new item or a new category. Categories are a way to divide up your grades depending on how they're used. For example, you could create a category for quizzes or discussion posts if you use either quizzes or discussion posts for frequent low-stakes assessments. Grade items are the individual items that you see when you go into your gradebook or enter grades. For example, final exam could be an example of a grade item. So let's click on New Item. You will now be asked what type of grade item you'd like to create. Probably the most commonly used grade item is numeric, which allows you to assess students by points. Anytime that you see a red asterisk, it means that that field is required. So you will need to enter a name, the maximum points possible for the item, and the weight that that item will have in the gradebook out of 100. If we scroll back up, we'll also see that we have the option to put this item into a category as well, or create a new category. Below the grading area, we have the option to select Can Exceed, which would allow a student to get more than 10 points on this particular assignment, or click Bonus, which would make this an extra credit grade item. Let's save and close. You'll now see that the grade item has been created. If you need to delete or reorder any items, you'll find the options to delete and reorder in the More Actions button. Now let's click on Schemes. The default scheme is percentage. If you wish to export your D2L grades into PAWS, you will need to create a letter grade scheme. Please see our video on exporting grades to PAWS for more information on that. Now let's click on Settings. In Settings, we're going to click on the Calculation Options tab. The gradebook by default is weighted. If you structure your course by points, you can also set the grading system to be a points gradebook. Whichever you choose to use, we recommend that you don't switch back and forth once you have grades entered for risk of losing information you've already entered. On this screen, you can also see that you can choose whether you want to release the calculated final grade or the final adjusted grade to pause. Below that, you also see you have the option to either drop ungraded items or treat ungraded items as 0. If you treat ungraded items as zeros, they all show up as zeros in the gradebook until you enter something else. Usually we don't recommend starting the semester that way, as students might be disconcerted by all of the zeros. Often instructors switch it over to treat ungraded items as zeros in the last few weeks or so. That way students can get an idea of what their final grade looks like. Below that, you will see the option to automatically keep final grades updated. We don't recommend selecting this because it takes a lot of time to run and isn't necessarily worth calculating final grades over and over again until you do your final end of semester grade calculations. Let's go back to enter grades. There are a few different ways to add grades. You can switch to spreadsheet view and then insert any grades that you want for any assignments for any student. Let's save and then yes, and then switch back to standard view. If you click on the drop-down menu next to the grade item, you will see an option that says Grade All. Here, you can leave overall comments for the entire class on an assignment. If you scroll down, you can also enter the grade for any students that don't have grades yet. And you also have the ability to leave individual comments for students. Whatever you make changes, make sure that you save. Returning to the gradebook, one final way to add grades is to click on an individual student. Here you can add grades and leave comments for this particular student. Additionally, from the student view, in this case Fake 155, if you click the drop-down menu, you can also preview how this student will see their grades. From the same menu, you can also email the student. And see their event log. Thank you for viewing our introductory video on the Grades tool in D2L. Please remember that this is just an introduction to using grades in D2L, and in-depth documentation is available to you on the My homepage when you first log into D2L under Need Help Using D2L. If you have any questions about the grading tool in D2L or any other tool in D2L, please contact UWM's Learning Technology Center at ltc@uwm.edu or by phone at 414-229-4319.